British Spy Stories, Season 1. Spy or Traitor. Episode 7. At just after 12:30, Sir Stephen Laughton puts his head around the door to Martine's office and tells her that he is taking the afternoon off and to clear his diary. She bristles at the idea, and she is not sure she will ever get used to her boss's new eccentric era. Laughton takes the district line to Richmond, then walks across the High Street to The Green. It is a Tuesday in September, and there is no trace of a breeze on the grassy space before him. 100-year-old houses gaggle together around the edge, like chattering old ladies. He chooses one of the benches and sits down. He thinks about how he longs to tell Linny about his two separate lives. Then he wonders if his love for Russia is waning. It's been a long time since he was a teenager, with time to sit and dream about making the world a better place. He witnessed the end of the Berlin Wall in his last years at school, and he witnessed the years since then as Russia struggled with its newfound role in the world. He had seen former KGB officers become billionaires from the sale of state assets, and he had started to question it all, just not enough to stop spying for them. Petrov! Ivan is suddenly standing immediately behind him, and Laughton jumps. "Stop creeping about, Ivan," he says as a greeting. "How have you been?" The Russian sits down on the bench next to him. "My mind hasn't changed, if that's what you mean." "I expected nothing less," says Ivan. They both watch the people on the grass in front of them. "I spoke to Moscow," says Ivan after a few moments. "What did they say?" Laughton turns to look at the man. "They are considering your request," says Ivan coldly. "Nothing else?" asks Laughton. "They were critical of my handling of you." "What do you mean?" Laughton pulls his eyebrows together in confusion. "They said I should have known you were unhappy." "I didn't think it would reflect on you," says Laughton. "Sadly, it does, Petrov. I've been called back to visit Moscow next week to explain myself." They both think of what might happen to them now that this chain of connected events has started. The blue touch paper has been lit, but they can't stand back. They must take the full force of what is inevitably coming. They are both starting to realize how mutually dependent they are on each other. For Laughton, this is yet another man whose life he has become responsible for. For Ivan, his guarantee of a long and happy retirement is looking more risky. After several minutes, Ivan breaks the silence. "I have details of your final job, Petrov," he says. "Go on." "One of your field agents has upset one of our friends. Moscow wants her removed." "Which agent?" asks Laughton. "Black Hook." "Ah, the rebel," he says. "What did she do?" "She killed a friend of ours. Things like that are not forgotten." "What do you want from me?" asks Laughton. "All the information you have on her, her contacts, friends, family, all known addresses and aliases." "I need a guarantee from you, Ivan. A guarantee that this will be the final request. Then I want to be left alone to get on with my life. I want to stay in MI6 and continue to do my job. I want all the evidence of my leaks to be destroyed, and a commitment to never contact me again from the moment I give you this information. Can Moscow agree to that?" "I will have to ask, Petrov," says Ivan wistfully. "I will not provide you with any more information until I have that commitment," he says. "But I do trust you, Ivan. If you say that all this is possible, then I know you will be telling the truth." We have come to respect each other over the years, haven't we? What will you do? Says Laughton. I will go to Moscow next week and see what they have to say. And after that? I think I will opt to retire, if that is an option, says Ivan. My sister lives in Vladivostok. It's beautiful at this time of year. You have to see the Sea of Japan from the Russian coast to know what life is really about, Petrov. It sounds wonderful, says Laughton. They sit and enjoy each other's companionship for what could be one of their last few times together. I have to go, says Laughton. He gets up and holds out his hand to the Russian. Ivan stands and they shake hands. They know that the future is not in their control. This arrangement, the passing of secrets between two men, that has gone on for so long, is not something that they can alter without consequences. Laughton turns and walks back across the green towards the town, leaving Ivan alone. The evening sun washes the buildings and the foreshore with the golden light that you only get on the south coast of France. Gabby drives down Quai Lunel in the centre of Nice and surveys the yachts that are moored alongside the dock. She checks the name and confirms that Ulrich's yacht is there. She turns right along the Promenade des Anglais and parks behind the Palais de la Méditerranée hotel. It is a vast building with huge French windows that give a view of the ocean. A shiny hotel and casino behind an original facade. She chose this hotel because Gabby needs to turn into one of the set of people that Ulrich and his friends will want to be with. From the moment she enters the hotel reception, she behaves like a rich woman, demanding, spoiled, and utterly sure that her own needs are all that matters. She is dismissive of any small talk. She adopts a patronizing tone. They won't like her, but that's not the point. She asks for evening dresses to be brought up to her room within an hour, and leaves the hotel again under the guise of taking a walk along the seafront. She walks out and turns immediately up into the back streets of the old town. She finds a small chemist shop, buys a bag full of products, and heads back to the hotel. She empties the purchases onto the bed and goes into the bathroom. An hour later, she is blonde and tanned. A knock on the door is the porter with 3 dresses. She takes them all and tells him to put them on her bill. She puts on the blue Chanel dress, clicks open a compartment in her suitcase, and removes 6 sets of contact lenses. She chooses blue and puts them in. She looks at herself in the full-length mirror in the bedroom. It will do. With her new hair, eyes, and tan, she looks distinctly different from her normal self. Even if Ulrich has seen her picture, this will put him off the scent enough. She picks up her sunglasses, calls reception for a taxi, and goes down to the lobby. The car drops her off at the port. She chooses a bar on the harbour, sits on a high stool in the centre of the place, and orders champagne. She needs to be seen, which feels ironic given that she has spent 3 days hiding from everyone. She has researched about Sebastian Ulrich's life and knows him and his henchmen by sight. The bar is his favourite landside retreat before he boards. Ulrich and his party arrive at 9. He is surrounded by 2 burly minders, 2 other men, and 2 young women. The party has reserved a table at one end of the room overlooking the port. Gabrielle knows the 2 men with Ulrich, Dima Lebedev and Larry Robinson, both well-known names within the criminal fraternity around the Mediterranean. They order drinks, and Gabby watches the group dynamics. Ulrich is the prime focus, but the 2 other men are of similar standing in the group, and there is a respect amongst them. The women display a different dynamic, but they are not there only to pander to the men, and they hold their own authority. She needs to get introduced to these people. After half an hour, Robinson gets up to go to the bathroom. This is her chance. She waits until he reappears, takes her champagne in one hand, and makes directly for him. Robinson is heading for a gap between the tables. Gabby cuts him off, knocks into him, and the glass spills on her dress. She yelps. "I'm sorry, it was my fault," says Robinson. "Bloody champagne, ruins silk," she mutters. "A cloth over here, quickly," he calls across the bar. A waiter approaches, and they all try to help. After a minute, the stain is less marked. "That looks better," says Robinson. Yes, it does. Thank you." She looks at him directly for the first time and smiles. He is dark, with kind eyes and a scar on one eyebrow. "Will you be okay?" he says. "I think so." "Are you here with someone?" "No, vacation on my own. Getting away from a frantic life and unreliable men." "I'm here with some friends." He points to Ulrich's party. "Let me say sorry with a new glass of champagne, if you will join us." Gabby pauses, careful not to seem too keen. "I'm fine, thank you. I don't want to intrude." "You wouldn't be," he says, then adds in a whisper, "To be honest, I have only met some of these guys earlier today." They laugh. He smiles at her and holds up his arm, inviting her to walk with him. "All right then," she says. "That would be lovely." "What's your name, by the way?" "Charlotte." They walk over to the group. "This is Charlotte, everyone. This is Sebastian, Lily, Sasha, and Dima," says Robinson. "Come and sit here." He indicates a chair between his and Ulrich's. The group talk for an hour about nothing of consequence. Ulrich watches her, but doesn't engage her directly in conversation. The women seem envious, assessing the new girl. Eventually, Ulrich does speak directly to her. "We have a party tonight, Charlotte. You would be very welcome." "Is it far?" says Gabby. The others laugh. "Did I say something funny?" "It's just over there," says Ulrich, pointing towards the yachts moored in the port. "I have a little boat." "I see," she says. "Then, great. I'd love to come along." They all get up and make their way from the bar along the quay. Ulrich stops at a 120-foot, 3-floor super yacht moored alongside. "This is my baby," he says. "Welcome aboard." He leads them to a bar on the first level, with cocktails and a barman. The captain and the crew are in uniform, and Ulrich signals for the craft to move out. As the sun starts its descent, the MV Quarrel moves away from the dock and into open water. The open plan office on the first floor of the British Embassy in Berlin has the ambience of a library in the English home counties. Geraldine's hands are sweaty. She has been building up to the conversation that she is about to have for 24 hours, since she left Stuart at the hospital. Her short brunette bob sits evenly across her shoulders, and her grey-green eyes show nothing about what she is thinking. Melanie pops her head round the door. "Chief will see you now," she says. Geraldine stands and follows the assistant up the grand curved staircase to the second floor, through the doors marked "Strictly No Admittance," and along the thickly carpeted corridor that leads to the offices of the MI6 operation that is embedded within the embassy. Melanie knocks, and a muffled voice from within calls them to enter. "Geraldine Teich to see you, sir." "Thank you, Mel. Tea, Geraldine?" "Please." "2 teas, please, Mel." The assistant walks out and closes the door behind her. "Come and sit over here," says Marcus Murphy, head of MI6 Berlin station. He directs her to 2 sofas at one end of the office. They sit. He is a stocky man with big, excited eyes and a flabby jawline that he occasionally strokes with his hands. "Always good to hear from the civilian staff and chat about how things are," says Murphy. "It's the only way to find out what's really going on." His smile is slightly crooked. "You know, one of the key things to success in the service is to listen to people." He stops, waiting for a reaction, so she makes a small nod. "I'm very much a people person, always have been," he continues. "I was reprimanded for being too much a people person when I was a young officer, like you." Geraldine likes that he referred to her as young, as it's not how she always feels. "What's on your mind, Geraldine?" Mel arrives with the tea. Once the door closes again, Geraldine stops her breath for a second, then begins. "I wanted to talk to you about Stuart Palmer, sir." "Palmer?" Murphy nods. "He was attacked the other week." "Yes." Murphy becomes minutely more guarded in his demeanour. "I'm concerned about what happened," she says. "We all are, Geraldine. Do you know why anyone would stab him?" "Sadly not." "Are you concerned that a member of the embassy staff has been attacked in the street?" she says. "Naturally, Geraldine, I'm concerned about Palmer. I have a team looking into it." "Have they found anything?" "Not as yet," he says. "Can I ask why you're interested?" "Stuart is a friend of mine." "More than a friend, perhaps?" he says. Geraldine is not about to discuss her private life with Murphy. She pauses, not wanting to reveal too much, but also not wanting to say something that isn't true. "A close friend, certainly," she says quietly. "I see," says Murphy, and then she feels naked in front of him. "What do you do here, Geraldine? In the embassy?" "I work in commercial relations, sir. We liaise with British businesses wanting to operate in Germany. I provide the research service." "Researching the businesses?" "Providing reports to the commercial committee to allow them to decide how we support each of the companies." Murphy is watching her talk and assessing her potential. "How long have you been here, Geraldine?" "In Berlin? 3 years. I was in Brussels for 5 years before that." "Tell you what, Geraldine, how would you like to help out on a special project?" "What is it?" "I have some plans for your friend Palmer," says Marcus. "You might be just the girl to be part of those plans." She's not sure what to say. "How do you feel about working with us spooks from the dark side of the embassy?" "I don't know," she says. "Have a think. You can help your close friend and provide a great service to His Majesty's government to boot." "Can't say more right now. Let me talk to some of the chaps and we'll come up with a plan for you. How does that sound?" Geraldine is taken aback. She had only wanted to ask about Stuart's safety. "If I can be of help, of course." "Good," he says. "I'll be in touch." Murphy gets up and waits expectantly for her to follow suit. She stands, and he holds out his hand. "Welcome to the Wild West," he says. Geraldine walks back out to the thickly carpeted corridor and downstairs to her desk.